Welcome to the Morning Update. I'm Abby Smith. Supporters of the Indigenous Voice to Parliament say the Liberal Party's decision not to back the body is disappointing. The Liberals will join their coalition counterpart, the Nationals, in opposing the Voice. The opposition leader argues it won't improve outcomes for First Nations Australians. But Voice advocate Thomas Mayo says Peter Dutton isn't listening to Indigenous people.
We just find ourselves ignored. The responses to the Liberals' concerns, the questions they've asked that have been answered, just ignored, and have really ignored also the Australian people, the great support that there's been for this. So we're very disappointed.
Australian police have assisted the FBI in taking down one of the world's biggest online criminal marketplaces. Genesis Market sold stolen login details that fraudsters used to access bank and shopping accounts. National Economic Crime Centre Head of Operations Robert Jones says it's a huge operation with around 120 people arrested around the world so far.
This is a really significant piece of international activity. And to give you an idea of the scale and how important this was to criminals, this was the harvesting over 80 million credentials and 2 million victims worldwide.
Charity scammers are on the rise as the Easter break is underway, with donors being urged to remain vigilant. Minister for Consumer Affairs Danny Pearson says donating directly to the organisation is always the safest way to give.
What we know is that last year there were reported losses around about $93,000. So we know that 196 Victorians reported losses, topping $93,000 to charity scams. And charity scammers, they're finding new ways to operate. If people believe that they're a victim of a scam, then they should contact police.
It seems Donald Trump's wife and daughter are distancing themselves from the former US president, who's become the first to be charged with criminal offences. The pair were absent during Trump's return to New York and were not among the list of supporters from Florida to Mar-a-Lago after he pleaded not guilty to 34 counts of business fraud. And pharmaceutical giant Johnson & Johnson is proposing a $13 billion settlement for thousands of lawsuits over claims their talcum powder products cause cancer. The payout would be one of the biggest settlements in the US. They admitted fault but didn't stop selling talcum-based baby powder. Sport and entertainment news next. Collingwood and Brisbane open AFL Round 4 at the Gabba tonight. Pies coach Craig McRae says the Lions are tough to beat at home.
Right now it seems like they're a different team at home, and we go up there knowing that they don't lose too many home games, and you're going to have to beat them in the contest and bring the best version of us. They're not going to give us anything, and it should be a great game.
In the NRL, Round 6 kicks off with the Melbourne Storm taking on the Roosters at home. Clubs are being warned to improve the tackling techniques of their outside backs after 3 suspensions were handed out in Round 5 for high tackles. And 5 Aussies will tee it off at the Masters in Augusta as golf's first major championship of the year begins. Cameron Smith and Adam Scott among those teeing off this morning. In entertainment news, Sarah Ferguson has taken a bit of a swipe at Prince Harry and Meghan, saying royal family members who leave the firm need to decide if they're in or out. The Duchess of York, who divorced from Prince Andrew but lives at Windsor, says those who decide to leave the firm can't sit on the fence. And MTV has announced the nominees for this year's Movie and TV Awards. They'll be hosted by Drew Barrymore on May 7 in LA. Up for Best Movie is Avatar, Elvis and Top Gun Maverick, while the best show is Stranger Things, The Last of Us and Yellowstone. And that's the latest from the Nova podcast team. We'll see you this afternoon for another episode of The Update.